Okay, just wanted to review a few things today, not a lot of notes. We're going to talk more about the sampling distribution of the sample proportion. These are the yellow graphs that are on the side wall of our class. A sampling distribution. For the 100th time, sampling distribution is a fancy way of saying a graph. And specifically, it's graphs like the yellow graphs on the side of the room that show values for all possible samples of the same size. Specifically from a population. To clarify, our graphs on the side of the room are not quite sampling distributions. They're the beginnings of sampling distributions, and if we could continue to graph every single combination of 20 or 50 pennies, that would make a sampling distribution. Variability. Just like distribution is another way of saying graph, variability is another way of saying spread. And the variability, or the spread of the yellow graphs, is directly impacted by the sample size. The bigger the sample is, the less spread out the graph is. The variability of this graph is not affected by the population size. This should be reviewed from yesterday. Refer to yesterday's notes if you have questions on this. If you're talking about the sampling distribution of p hat and you're asked to describe the sampling distribution or the graph of p hat, so we're talking about describing the yellow graphs, typically we talk about SOCs, shape, outliers, center, and spread. For right now, we're going to disregard the outliers piece. We're just going to focus on shape, center, and spread. Shape. From yesterday, what we talked about with shape was the fact that our graph should be approximately normal if rule of thumb number 2 is true, which was n times p is greater than or equal to 10, and n times 1 minus p is greater than or equal to 10. This is what was called rule of thumb 2 in your book. That's how you can describe the shape of the sampling distribution. If this isn't true, graph's not normal. Center. The measurement of center that we referred to yesterday was our mean. There is a formula for this on your formula sheet. The mean of the p hat graph, the mean of the yellow graphs, the center of those graphs is located at p, what the true proportion of the population is. The last S stands for spread. Measurement of spread we worked with yesterday was the standard deviation. This formula also on your formula sheet. Of course, there's a square root. It's equal to the square root of p times 1 minus p divided by n. Everything should be square rooted here. I'm going to make sure that it's very evident that this entire fraction is being square rooted, not just the numerator. Also remember, based on rule of thumb number 1, that this formula is only valid when the population is at least 10 times the sample size. So today we want to review what the sampling distribution is, what the variability of the sampling distribution is affected by, and the little bit of new stuff is describing the sampling distribution of p hat. What you'll be doing today is working on the problem at the bottom of your notes page. When you finish with that, check with your substitute teacher to make sure your answers are correct. If that's correct, then you have permission to move on to your homework assignment for tonight. Make it a great afternoon, everybody. See you tomorrow.